Cleveland's $2.4 billion stadium dream just got its biggest green light and its biggest roadblock. The permits are finally in, the designs are now public, but one powerful agency's saying not so fast. As ODOT greenlights the Browns' new stadium proposal, the Cleveland Airport Authority is raising serious objections, from height restrictions to approach path safety concerns. This is what's really happening behind the scenes of building the Browns' new home. The Ohio Department of Transportation has officially approved a construction permit for the Browns' new stadium, pushing the project closer to reality than ever before. For a moment, it felt like the breakthrough everyone been waiting for. But almost immediately, another agency stepped in, and their response could change everything. Just across town, Cleveland's Airport Authority, which oversees both Hopkins International Airport and Burke Lakefront, filed a formal legal challenge against the project. Their arguments center on flight safety, airspace compliance, and whether a massive domed stadium can safely coexist with the runways at Hopkins. This is the kind of behind-the-scenes clash that delays mega projects for years, and right now, it's happening in real time. Here's the latest on the Browns stadium saga. In our previous video, we broke down the Browns' ambitious plan to leave downtown Cleveland's first energy stadium, now Huntington Bank Field, which has been their home for nearly 30 years. The team revealed a bold vision, a brand new, fully enclosed NFL fortress with about 67,500 seats, futuristic architecture, translucent roofing, and year-round event capabilities. This wasn't just a building, it was a complete reimagining of what the franchise wants to become. Their proposed stadium would anchor an entirely new district in Brook Park, a mixed-use development filled with restaurants, apartments, hotels, retail, and entertainment spaces. It would finally give Cleveland the ability to host major indoor events, conventions, concerts, tournaments, and high-profile NFL showcases that the current open-air stadium struggles to accommodate. But there were reasons behind the move. Their current home on the lakefront faces ongoing structural and operational issues. It's exposed to harsh lake effect weather. It has limited event flexibility. Parking and access are constant complaints. And above all, the Browns want a modern NFL-caliber experience that matches what other franchises across the league are building. The reaction, however, was loud. Downtown business owners warned that moving the team would drain tens of millions of dollars from the city's core. Fans recalled the trauma of 1999 and the fear of history repeating itself. City officials questioned how much public funding should be involved, especially since Cleveland offered hundreds of millions to renovate the existing stadium instead. And then came the lawsuits tied to Ohio's Modell Law, escalating tensions between the city and the franchise. But beyond politics, beyond economics, and beyond the legal battles, there was another fight unfolding, one that had nothing to do with emotions or money. The battle was about aviation safety, because while the Browns may control the land they plan to build on, they don't control the sky above it, and that sky belongs to Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. From the beginning, the proposed stadium's design had to be sunk roughly 80 feet below the ground. That wasn't for style. It was to reduce the visible height of the building so it wouldn't interfere with protected flight path surfaces around the airport. Hopkins is close enough that even a modest height miscalculation could trigger major regulatory pushback. And that's exactly what happened. ODOT's aviation office initially denied the Browns' construction permit. Their determination was that the stadium exceeded allowable height limits by approximately 58 feet. They stated that the proposed structure could represent a hazard to airport operations, despite the FAA's own analysis that found no hazard to air navigation. ODOT's message was clear. Lower the height, move the location, or challenge the decision through the appeals process. For weeks, the project went nowhere. Construction could not start. Negotiations stalled. Both sides waited to see whether updated data or new analysis might change the outcome. Then, everything shifted. Permission finally granted. On September 18, 2025, ODOT reversed its previous denial and approved the Browns' permit. The reversal came after a third-party aviation consultant reviewed new data submitted by the Browns, the city, and engineering teams. The consultant concluded that the stadium would not interfere with aviation safety or efficient airspace operations at Hopkins. With those findings, ODOT granted a waiver that allowed construction to move forward. For the Browns, this was a huge breakthrough. It meant the largest regulatory hurdle had been cleared. It signaled real progress. It suggested that the stadium's design, even with its massive size, could coexist with airport operations. But even with this approval, the FAA still needs to sign off on final conditions, design elements, and potential safety-related modifications. Until the FAA issues its formal conclusions, nothing about the stadium's height, configuration, or timeline is fully locked in. And as the Browns celebrated their regulatory victory, a new challenge appeared. Almost immediately, a new obstacle emerges. On October 3, 2025, the city of Cleveland, through its Department of Port Control, filed a formal appeal in Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court. The appeal challenges ODOT's permit approval, arguing that the decision lacks supporting evidence and that the stadium still poses potential risks to flight operations. This move raises the stakes. What was once an administrative debate is now a legal battle. The appeal could trigger more studies, delays, redesigns, or conditional approvals, all depending on how the court rules. While ODOT has cleared the project, the airport authority's objections could still shape or slow the stadium's future. So, where does this leave the Browns? Well, despite all the complications, the team is undeniably one step closer to realizing their massive stadium plan. ODOT's approval was a milestone, but like most modern mega projects, one approval is never the finish line. Stadiums aren't just buildings. They're intersections of transportation systems, emergency access routes, political forces, economic pressures, and in this case, active airspace. From the airport's perspective, the concern isn't personal or political. It's about ensuring that stadium height, lighting, and operations never conflict with the airport that fly in and out of Hopkins every day. When tens of thousands of people gather just miles from a runway, the margin for error is pretty thin. Right now, this project sits in a familiar kind of mega project limbo, technically approved but legally contested, and still subject to final FAA oversight. What happens next will likely come down to negotiation, engineering adjustments, and whether the Browns can design a stadium that satisfies aviation requirements without sacrificing their vision. Because the real challenge here was never the concrete or the steel, it's proving that a massive NFL stadium and a major international airport can safely share the same sky.